Have asked the judge to set a trial date of January 2nd in an election interference case against former President Donald Trump. Now, if the judge approves that date, the trial would open right before the nation marks 3 years since the January 6th Capitol riot. The former president facing charges, including conspiracy to defraud the U.S. He has pleaded not guilty, and he calls the case politically motivated. The former president joining more than 1,000 people who have been charged in connection with the January 6th Capitol riot. And Axios reporter Erin Doherty joining us live now with a look at these numbers to break it down for us. Erin, thanks for being with us this morning. So give us an overview of the criminal charges stemming from the Capitol riot and what the figures show us.
Good morning. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. So we've seen now that over 1,100 Americans in nearly all 50 states have been charged in connection with the January 6th Capitol riot. By far, the most common charge has to do with entering the building, entering the Capitol on January 6th. But we've also seen charges related to assaulting a police officer and members of the media. And so, as you mentioned, we're almost, still a few months out, but if the trial date of January 2nd holds, we'll be 3 years since the January 6th Capitol riot, but the Department of Justice continues to bring charges against individuals in connection with the attack of that day. And so even though, it feels like, it was during a different election and different cycle, legally, we're still seeing the effects of that day play out.
And those figures don't include Trump as a defendant because his case is being managed by special counsel Jack Smith's office. So what exactly are prosecutors trying to prove in his case?
Right. Yeah. So as you mentioned, the cases, the Department of Justice and special counsel are dealing with former President Trump's case separately. I think, intent is very important in Mr. Trump's case, and whether, really trying to draw a fine line and show, what events he did leading up to the January 6th Capitol riot and in relation to the 2020 election, whether those alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 election results were intentional. And so I think that as the trial continues and as special counsel Jack Smith continues to investigate these charges, members of Mr. Trump's close circle and allies will probably be front and center too, into who can providing insight into his actions leading up to the 2020 election and days after.
And Trump's trial, that one may not start until the beginning of next year. If that is the case, how does this play into his bid for president?
Right. I mean, we're seeing, he might be indicted for a fourth time in the coming weeks in Georgia. So we're seeing the prospect of Mr. Trump facing numerous criminal and civil trials as he campaigns for a second presidential term. Despite the fact that his trials could take him away from the campaign, he is still the very clear frontrunner at this point in the Republican primary. And so, as we get into 2024, it's likely that he'll be navigating campaigning for the 2024 election while, being in and out of court for these various cases that continue to play out.
Unprecedented times, to be sure. Axios reporter Erin Doherty, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.